And welcome back to part 2, maybe, of this randomizer run. Again, this is randomizer version 119, normal, and I don't know what I was saying in the last one. I think at some point I was saying I'm not dead. I didn't, like, disappear from the community forever. And yes, it has to be bombed. And I have to bomb again. Wait, I just kind of ran out of patch ideas and I need to save my hands from typing. So... I don't know, I was thinking about more patch ideas again and like, making like a double jump item. So you'd like patch space jump so you didn't have as much delay after peaking, and so that if you fell at terminal velocity... Good job. I forgot I fell through the door. Right, so you'd fix space jump so that it would basically be infinite jumps, and then you'd have a double jump that only let you get 2 jumps. But I'd have to learn a bunch about how Samus is animating and things. Yay, more power bombs. If I'm not mistaken, this is the last power bomb expansion I ever find. Anyway, I'd have to learn about Samus's animation and how to do all the things, because... it's like, I don't know if I'd want double jump to work if you weren't spin jumping. It would actually be kind of a neat thing if it did with regular jumps. I don't know, it's one of those things. It's like I like writing patches to give people lots and lots of choices as to their gameplay, as to how they structure their own game built on this engine. Sometimes I feel bad about my patches. It's like, I'm writing this thing, but I don't want people to use it for evil. You know, like, the whole thing with having energy tanks not contain energy or whatever. It's like... I don't know if I'd enjoy a game like that with that patch in it, but I want it to be a thing that you could have for yourself. High speed booster. You know, I feel like you should have the option of... like, not having people get energy when they pick up an energy tank. It's... well, that was useless. It's one of those things, it's like, if you balance your game around that, then it's, a good concept, but... yeah, I don't know. And I decide I don't need to save again. I haven't actually watched this since I did record like 300,000 frames in one go. I just let it AVIify in the background, so I haven't actually seen this since playing it. I guess we're gonna head over to Kraid next. So yeah, patches. I'm really fond of the weapon tank patch, actually. Even if nobody ever uses it, I'm glad I went through the trouble of creating it, because... I don't know. Maybe I'm just a total MST fanboy. I kind of half joke about it, but like, all of my patches are like MST inspired in some way or another. The peanut butter and jelly empty slot. I guess the energy tank size patches aren't directly inspired, but way to not jump on time. But they still are inspired by MST complaining about reserve tanks being useless and me wanting to do something about that. So, I don't know. Hacking is just fun. I'm just way too lazy to do a major project like an actual ROM hack. I really like exploration, so they'd end up with like 10 patches, or try and put in 10 ways to go through it. And I don't know, either some of the ways would be really dumb, or yeah, I totally stuffed up the quick kill there, but at least it didn't take too long. He didn't run back and forth at me several times. And for our trouble, we get this one missile back. On the one hand, I'd say it's kind of a letdown, and on the other, I do have space jump and screw attack, so I can like... and speed booster. So I can become invincible in all sorts of ways. Well, in theory. Knowing me, I'd find some epic new way to screw it all up. Alright, so... next we have to go check this room of doom. Yep, it looks like I have all of my power bomb expansions ever now. I mean, there's still probably hanging out, and there's a couple places in Pink Brinstar I didn't look at again, but who needs more than 15 power bombs anyway? And that was some amazing falling skill. So it's like, oh, where do I go next? I don't have Varia. I guess it's time to do some heat running. So, spoiler alert, there will be some death ahead at some point. Of course, if you've seen me heat run in any of my other videos, this should be no surprise at all. I get all set up to do this epic mock ball through there, and I'm just like, wait. I have speed boost. I can just do this the correct way. And there it is. Then we will fall in the lava, because when you're like losing health left and right, what you really want to do is lose more health. And then ball form. So, what great treasure awaits us in Ice Beam's room? It is nothing. And because the randomizer doesn't have my awesome reserve tank refill pauses heat damage patch, I'm sure, I'll manually transfer it to save myself some time and then not, like, turn into a ball there, just dance around. And pixels away from safety, we die. And then it's like, what do I have to do now? It's like, oh, I have to go kill Kraid again, I think. Yes, I don't have speed booster. However, this time I know that there's nothing else back here. So after I use Spacer to... What in the world? Apparently all I remember is that there's nothing in high jumps area, and that didn't remember that the missile pack was nothing. So, good job, me. Someday you'll be a real player. Apparently I'm unhappy with Kraid and decide to go a different direction after that. Like, knowing that Kraid is not hiding any suits or anything, it makes it somewhat pointless to go that way if there could be suits over here. Ooh, a second reserve tank. That's really funny. 3 of these randomized real close to each other. And soon I think we might get to see that. Samus, go save. Don't be dumb. There you go. Yeah. I don't know. I just expect to have to heat run a lot in the randomizer. So, I have skimmed the contents of the AVI at some point, just to like make sure that all the segments matched up right. So I know this disaster is coming. It's like somehow I just can't. Like when I finally get up there, the space jump fails me. And then I'm like freaking out and can't stay spinning. And then it's like, fine, I'm leaving. I'm going to find some refill bugs. I hate you all. First I have to think about it a whole bunch. Maybe check what's behind here. Nothing in this room, and I clearly don't have the energy to go any further. So, yes, refill bugs. I've been working a little on the Metroid construction wiki, and brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I only have 47 energy in the reserves. Well, here we go, friends. Right, I've been working a little on the wiki and I've decided that my strategy is basically going to be to let someone else put up and organize what level of difficulty the guides are. Because, you know, I've been programming for like 10 years, so ASM is really not very hard. The challenge is more in integrating what I'm writing patch-wise with the code that's there in the engine. So, like, I'm so advanced at assembly I can't really judge whether some document is... Good job, Samus. You fired at the bugs and then didn't pick them up and then fell all the way to the bottom. That was so much fail. I'm going back to refill more. Right, so I'm so awesome at assembly I just don't know what's quote-unquote hard or not. So I'm just gonna let other people put the links on, and where it says this page isn't created yet, I'm gonna work on going and creating those things. Alright, so now that our refill bugs have refilled us, it is time to go places like a save room. This is probably about as exciting as watching people do the infinite bomb jump to places they shouldn't be going to. However, I'm pretty sure this time I make it up through the ceiling in a reasonable pattern. It's amazing how reliant I am on high jumps sometimes. Since someone left these bugs here, I might as well use them to refill. And then, I'm gonna forget that the game has that little glitch with the graphics when you speed boost without suits. So yeah, that looks cool, and then I get down here and I actually physically jumped when the Samus echoes came running into me, because it was like, ah! Totally unexpected. And all that's back here is another stupid missile pack. However, the escape goes well. Kind of wondering how the door ASM code works. I should look at it sometime. It's like, you enter that room and the PLM triggers if you've inventoried, or, you know, if Speed Booster is on or something. I'm not sure if it's equipped or picked up, but regardless, the PLM triggers, but only from the one door, so either the PLM is coded to look at Samus's X or Y position. Well, I guess that's opposite corners of the room, so either of those work, but it's either coded to Samus's position or something about the door code sets it up. However, I think position is a lot more sensible. Yes. I don't know, I kind of want to rewrite the PLM code some. You know, like the whole bank. So that, sadly, neither of these are various suits. I kind of want to recode the whole PLM bank so that, basically, instead of having 3 separate PLM code blocks for whether something's in a Chozo orb or in scenery or just out in the open, somehow they could like share the code. Like either there'd be a solid block and the PLM code would be like, oh, was a PLM that was spawned on a solid block, so I'm going to act like I'm hidden in scenery. Or if it's the specific Chozo Ball CRE tile or whatever, it'll be like it'll be like, hey, I've been spawned as a Chozo Ball, I will set up to flash and show my item when I get hit with a projectile. Or, you know, if it's an air tile, it'll just assume it's out in the open. I will have to study the item code a bit more to pull this off, because it's like I don't know if I have enough room in the like PLM argument arrays to store one more argument for what kind of block to respawn. Oh man. Something interesting too that the randomizer does is how it sets random things to be hidden in scenery and you have to shoot them, but they're still solid. I think I was talking about this earlier. It would be quite nifty if it was able to set it as like hidden in scenery but then make it shootable air or something, which is kind of interesting. I think it's really actually weird that the engine has shootable and bombable air that are air tiles until they're shot or bombed, at which case they animate disappearing and then later they respawn. It just seems like how would you actually use that, build that into your gameplay? It's like I can't even really imagine a puzzle where, you know, maybe you could set it up so the player was supposed to climb before they had space jump or whatever. But then, like, how would they know they were supposed to do that? What sort of hint could you give them? It would just be like one of those annoying things like, oh, I don't want to spoil anything, but it would end up being one of those things like the Samus Eaters in the Wet Dream hack, where, you know, a couple of times you're like, haha, that was a good place for that, that was amazing, and then it's like you spend the next hour going, I hate dodging these things all the time. So, our second Kraid fight. I'm pretty sure this doesn't go well in terms of quick kill either. No, it really doesn't. In fact, I think that's the same way I opened the last fight. And then he like roars super early. I hear my dad, when he plays the vanilla game, has tried it, but he can't get past Kraid. It's too much tricky shooting. But I think this is probably going to be a good point to clip off this section of video. So I hope it was less of a disaster this time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you around the corner for part 3.